And good morning and welcome to Touch Base Daily. My name is Ron Foster and I'm touching base with you as I do every day. How are you all doing? I hope you are enjoying this hump day. It is our Wisdom Wednesday segment. So we have a special guest today on our Wisdom Wednesday. This is so exciting because, man, we are, Russell Fredericks is going to be our guest. And he is, he is photography. I'm just going to say he is photography. And I'm so excited to be I am humbled and honored to be able to interview him and have a conversation and just for him to share his beautiful work and what his journey. And so I'm excited about that. But until then, I'm going to send some greetings out because that's what we do here. That's what we do here. First person in the building is Aya Grand Rising. She says Ron and RLP community with the unity is right. And she gets the gold. And getting the silver today is Chris R. Good morning, Chrissy R. What's going on, Chris R? And also in third place, not to be considered least, even though it's a bronze, it is to Rashawn. Rashawn with Vincent is in the building. Good morning, Ron and RLP family. And then we have all of the rest of our family, which is Anthony Rowland is in the building. What's going on? Here we go. Anthony Rowland is in the building. And Adrian is in the building. Rise and shine. And Omar is in the building. What's up, everyone? Rise and grind. And Hannah is in the building. Good morning, Ron and RLP family. And the great, wonderful Jamel Shabazz is in the building. Grand Rising family. And so excited to have him here as well. Brian Young is in here. Brian Young Creative. And so we're all here. I'm sure the major players are going to come in and we'll have everyone here. So I'm excited. A lot going on in politics. We're not going to do that until tomorrow. Tomorrow is our political day, politics and photography. So we'll do that tomorrow. But today is all about Russell Fredericks. And like I said, I've had guests on this platform, and they've had some incredible bios and background and things that they've accomplished. I have never had anyone on this platform that has so many credentials, so many, so just has given to the world of photography on so many levels. So this is going to be an interesting conversation. And I cannot wait to have him on. I think he may be ready. He'll let me know if he's ready. Let me see here. I think he might be ready. I still see that little R going on right there. Once I see him on the screen, I will bring him in. But let me give you a little information about Russell, because he says, okay, he's ready. Let me see if we can pop him in. Okay, let's see. Let me introduce you to him. Hold on a second. I have this all set up for you because it is quite fascinating. Anyway, here we go. Russell Frederick is a Brooklyn-born self-taught photographer of Afro-Panamanian heritage who has been photographing 25 years. He is best known for his photographs of the African diaspora of Bedford-Stuyvesant, Brooklyn, a project he began in 1999. As a young photographer, he took an intro to black and white photography class at the International Center of Photography. And after the first day of class, he knew what he wanted to do for the rest of his life. Along his journey as a photographer, some angels by the name of Eli Reed, Joseph Rodriguez, Clarence Williams, Pulitzer Prize photographers, Fred Sweets, Associated Press Pulitzer Prize winning editor, and then Alabiso, Associated Press Pulitzer Prize winning editor, and several photographers of the Kamanaj Collective took notice of his passion, commitment, and decided to mentor him. Since that time, Frederick has been a finalist for grants and awards from the W. Eugene Smith Foundation, 2022 finalist, the Magnum Foundation, 2022 finalist. He was National Association of Black Journalists 2022 award nominee, and he was a beneficiary of a Golden Parks Award in 2004. Russell has been the recipient of grants from the Innovation Fund and the Open Society Foundation, the U.S. Embassy of Ethiopia, the New York Foundation of the Arts, the Brooklyn Arts Council, the Economic Hardship Reporting Project, and many, many more. I could go on. I mean, the list goes on. And with no further ado, he is in the back. He is waiting for us, and I am waiting for him. And I cannot believe I have the great Russell Frederick. What's going on, sir?
Good, I'm good. Salute, salute. Good to see you, Ron. Thank you for having me, man.
It,
And wow, listen, bro. I got to give you a round of applause for that introduction myself. Thank you, man. Thank you, brother. Thank you. Appreciate you.
when I was going through your bio and I was going through your Instagram and I was going through your website and I was looking at your work and I was looking at, I'm going to show the work off first
Hmm.
because there's some things I would just love people to see what you have done. And then we're going to dive in to conversation because,
Right.
man, you are an inspiration. You're going to have to be one of my mentors.
What? Ron, stop it. Stop
I
it,
keep
bro.
collecting mentors along the way in my journey, and I have to say, you are incredible. So I'm just going
Listen,
to just show the people
thank,
why you are incredible.
thank you, bro. Appreciate that. Well, they, I, I think if anything, if talking about a mentor, hey, I think the person who made this happen, we need to, I think, honor him first, and we got to give thanks to Jamel Shabazz for we're
Yes.
putting us in contact. Want to give a salute to him. First, but hey, I'm doing my part out here, Ron. I am continuing. I think the greatness of a lot who have come before me, and even some contemporaries. So I am here to just really tell some of our stories of our people, as well as to try to bridge the gap from, I think, the African diaspora, um, as well as to just uh, continue to make, I think, some images that really reflect our humanity, our achievements, as well as um, our love. So with that, and even with doing this from a place where we are the authors of our own story.
Yes.
So something which is very important, and I'm just thankful, really, to all the people who have trusted me with their image and have allowed me to enter their lives, so that I can introduce them to the world. Um, and thank you, Ron, for this platform and giving a brother, giving a voice, putting an amplifier to my voice.
Thank you, man. Thank you for coming on. I am so, like I said, I am so honored and you have touched a lot of lives, and I'm gonna go through some of these photos. But before I go on to more photos, how I know you went to school, you took your class, you went to ICP, and took that black and white class, and it's been your journey ever since. You said, I'm going to be a photographer. And you just pop you on while we have the conversation.
Mhm.
Hold on a second. Put you on here, add to stage, and get rid of this little guy. Here we go. There you go. And you, how did you? Oops. There
Just
you
wanted to
go.
clean the lens a little bit. That's
Oh,
all.
you know how I feel about clean
Yep.
lenses.
So, yes, sir. Go
I'm about the clean lens.
ahead.
But how did you what made you decide to even think of first picking up a camera and starting the journey? What was your inspiration to pick up the camera and then at some point in your life you clicked the camera, you clicked the snap, and then you said, I'm going to take a couple of classes and I'm going to go to ICP and test this thing. And what was the catalyst?
Okay. I would say it was really, I was unhappy with, at the time when I first picked up the camera, I was in nursing school working at Bedford-Stuyvesant Medical Center
Mm,
and was very dismayed about just this possibility, this future of being a nurse. I started to
mm,
see the writing on the wall with healthcare, as well as the business of healthcare. I saw the business of healthcare, the politics. I also saw this um, major fracture in medicine between management and what I think nursing and some healthcare staff wanted.
mm-hmm,
And working on an AIDS unit as well as on a cardiac unit,
mm,
I was really seeing just people deteriorating in decline
mm-hmm,
every day. And while in working at Beth Israel, I always had this creative ability and I was really seeking fulfillment. I
mm,
just did not really want a 9 to 5 job. I wasn't as focused about just on money. I wanted to really have a more purpose driven life. And
wow.
even though I knew some great things could come in healthcare, I felt I had a bigger calling in something artistic.
Mm,
And it was 1995 when I picked up a camera for the first time and did not know what I was doing. And it was because some people at my church were also starting up a magazine. And they reached out to me more so to do like some fashion styling
mm-hmm.
because the brothers always had some style. You know, maybe it's that Panamanian in me, and a little bit of my grandfather's swagoo that I got. But that was what made me pick up a camera for the first time. And then while I was enjoying, it was therapeutic for me. It
Mm,
was fun, and when going into work was just very dreadful, the I realized the camera brought some joy to some people, the patients. I would photograph some patients, some staff at work, and this brought them some joy. And
wow.
I was having fun with it. And then it wasn't until 1997. And it was 1995 also, too. I had a conversation with God asking him because I realized I didn't want to do nursing again. I was 1 year in. I said, God, you know what? Please send a message and a messenger of what I am put here to do. I know
Mm,
it's something artistic. And it was 2 years later, I got that message, and it led me to taking a class at ICP.
Mm-hmm.
and I only took one class. So in your introduction, as you would, I didn't take multiple classes. I only took one.
Right.
I took one black and white intro to photography class. It was on the first day of class. Instructor, God bless his soul, his name was Bernard Boulay. He looked at some of my work. He's a Vietnam veteran, photographed in the war. He looked at my work and he told me on that day I would be a great photographer and it would be a shame if I didn't pursue it seriously. And
Wow.
I never looked back. And here we are, you know what, 1997 till now and to infinity.
Wow. Wow. So it's interesting. I can identify with the church thing of taking pictures with church, because that's how I got started with the church and my, just taking pictures of the choir and the people there. So so after now going to school, when was it? I mean, when was it that you were able to start, um, kind of like zeroing in on what you want to photograph? Like, you have all these amazing photos and in different genres, but you were able to zero in on a particular style and a particular genre. What was that? What led you to that?
Great
How did it
question.
happen?
I would say it was in my early years, like in those late 90s. I was really getting um, an education
Hmm.
and some hands-on experience where I was starting to immerse myself around other photographers, and I was always going to Barnes and Nobles to really study. So I would
Mm,
go to Barnes and Nobles and I would just pick up photography books at random, and it was really in, I would say, 1998.
yes.
I met this brother, God bless him too. You know what? He's still alive. His name is Tar, and he's from Chicago. And Tar um, did a lot of music. He
Hmm.
photographed A Tribe Called Quest, Midnight Marauders album.
Mm,
So everybody knows that, of the different faces of all
yes.
these different rappers. He also did some stuff. I think he photographed Faith Evans' first album for Bad Boy, and several others. And he introduced me to some of Chester Higgins' work.
Wow.
And at the time, I was interested in some entertainment, but what I was learning was, what always was important to me was Black history.
Hmm.
And I was also learning, I think, how photography could really be a tool that could be for use for activism,
Hmm.
as well as to raise awareness. It could be used for education,
Hmm.
and it was on that journey then I started to really explore more. And I remember in 1999, I met Eli Reed, and that was really the big turning point for me. Eli was my neighbor. He lived across the street
Mm,
from me over here on the same block I'm on right now.
hmm.
And seeing his work really exposed me for the first time ever to, I guess, some journalistic work
Hmm.
and documentary work. And when I saw his work, I was like, you know what? This is where I want to go. And I had some options to get into the entertainment side. And I worked with Tar and another brother, God bless his soul, Jerry Jack, bless him up in heaven. You know what? Kamunge photographer. He was the first person to bring me on set for a job with Black Enterprise,
Wow.
and I realized that telling the stories of our people, I wanted to focus more so on everyday people
Yes.
and people who I felt were in our community, because I didn't like the way our people were portrayed from our community. And what I noticed was it was only really in black papers where I only saw that the photographers were black.
Mm.
Those the stories of our people, and I really wanted to change that, because the community I'm from, that I live in still now, Bed-Stuy, I didn't like how my community was portrayed, because it was always showing just our issues. It was showing some dysfunction, and with that, it never really. There was never the camera was never focused on our greatness,
Mm-hmm.
on our culture, on our art, on our style,
Mm-hmm.
and on our families. Like, you didn't see many images. Everything that just kind of centered around, just do or die, beds die. But
I remember that, right?
but right, but Bed Stuy was also the other black mecca here in New York City, then
Yes.
Harlem, that people who are from here, they know. And those images of our heroes who come from this community, none of those images were being told and shared with the world. So I decided to focus on the everyday heroes that I felt were from our community, and people who were being overlooked, and at the same time, people who I felt that um, were probably um, at risk of their stories never being shared or told,
Mm.
because gentrification was coming full throttle.
Wow. Wow. I mean, it's you share something that is, I think, that in this journey that I've had and meeting so many other black photographers, that seems to be one of the common threads, is that we are interested in sharing our community in the way that other people don't get to see it.
Absolutely.
Because we grew up where, again, when you looked at the news, it was always black people in cuffs, or
Right.
the police car lights in the background,
Right.
or trash on the streets and people laying in the gutter or whatever.
Right.
And even though that was part of our lives, there was so much more that we are, as in the family and the culture, and
Sure.
hanging out with your cousins, and hanging out with your aunts, and hanging out with your brothers and sisters, and hanging out at the the way called the fire hydrant, and playing Scully on the street
Sure.
curb, and
Absolutely.
running up and playing street ball, and stick ball. And we used to play stick ball.
All of
All
that.
of Yeah, that was our community. And
Exactly.
I applaud all the photographers that was something that pulled them out of I think the norm of just doing the regular stuff that they thought maybe society would want to see. And people like yourself, and I say the list goes on, of how many people dug in and said, you know what, I'm going to share the joys of our community. And so my question to you now is, I'm going through your photos here, and they're just, with every one of these photos, there is such connection to emotion. you have this ability to grab people by the heart through your photos. Where does that come from?
Um, Great question. I think it comes from me, being transparent, and me, you know what, also to seeking a connection and being um, open myself.
Mm,
I think in letting people know that I'm operating from, sorry, that was a fly, operating from a very genuine place
yes.
to tell their story. And with that, I'm operating from a place of sincerity. And I also, too, it starts with really connecting with people, like how a lot of people, as you're looking at, as you're going through the photographs right now, and everybody's on the other side of this, you know what? These are people who I approached, I introduced myself to, and I started a conversation with them
Mm-hmm.
before I could photograph them. And there's some people who,
Mm,
there were moments where I just had to capture, because they were happening in real time, and I didn't want to
yes.
miss that moment in real time. But it first starts with moving with a place of honor. And when you move with some honor, you know what, you gain trust.
Yes.
And me telling people, hey, I'm making a book on Bed-Stuy, and it's something going to be something positive, and it's going to be something historic. It doesn't cost them any money. I would like to introduce them to the world,
Mm-hmm.
and to also to that to let the world know that, hey, they're a part of this community, and I want them to tell me something about themselves.
Yes.
And in operating like that, who isn't going to want to be a part of that?
Mm,
And even people who may not be at their best, even I make sure I, tell their story with dignity.
yes.
So, and even like as you showed this photograph, the photograph you just showed, you can rewind a little bit. This guy over here, Kaz, I
Which right
remember,
here? Uh,
the brother outside the Chinese restaurant,
gotcha. Here.
right? He says, "I'm not a rapper, I'm a hustler." This was
Mm-hmm.
Kaz, is his name. So I remember I was at the Chinese restaurant just waiting for some food, and he came in with his mixtape and his mix CD,
Yes.
and he was, pretty much just trying to market his music,
Mm-hmm.
and he, showed it to me, and when he showed it to me, um, I remember there was no photograph on
Hmm.
his CD, and he pretty much just like kind of wrote in graffiti like his name and the name of his album. And I said to him, I said, bro, he asked me if I would buy it, and I just said, you know what, can I be straight with you? And he was like, of course. And I said, if you walked into a record store, would you pick up a CD that looked like that didn't have a photograph and didn't
Mm.
have an image? You know what? And then he said, nah, I wouldn't. And I said, okay, well, how about this? I'm a photographer. I'm doing a book on the neighborhood. And I said, you let me photograph you right now, and you got an image for your album cover. You give me the blessing to put it in my book, and you give me your blessing right now, and I'll, make a photograph for you.
Wow.
He said, deal. And here it was. Took the photograph of him, and you know what? This was in 2006.
yes.
On This was on Troop around Halsey Street,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and here it was. A couple of weeks later, when I developed it, I just made a print for him. And Kaz had his album cover.
Wow.
So with that, you know, where and I guess and for me at the time, you know what, that may be have been bad business, right? Because I could have, right, charged him a lot more, but I wasn't thinking about that. at the time, what was really the focus for me was the art, not necessarily the business side of things. And there is also a time where I guess, doing good by each other is
Yes.
good business.
That's right. That's right. You
So
saw the need, you saw the pain point,
there you go.
and you responded.
Indeed. Indeed.
I love it. I love it. I mean, and I'm sure he's not the only person you've done that with.
No, I mean I've photographed a lot of, with brothers on the street. So again, with being in the street, this is where I love to be. That is, I would say, my canvas, as well
Mhm.
as to where I look to find humanity. And
Mhm.
even in our brothers, like over here, like these are some bloods. Like here it was, I'm walking down. This is on Franklin Ave. This is about 2007,
Yes.
and I'm walking on Franklin Avenue, and you know what? I got my rollie, so the brothers see me, and you know what? They were like, hey, cameraman, and I knew some of them. They were like, oh, can you take a picture of us? I was like, of
Mhm.
course. And you know what? They all fell in line. So I didn't tell
Wow.
them how to pose. This is just what they did. And then, I asked two of the youngest boys in this photograph, who were
Mhm.
pretty young, about 12, like, why did they, like what made them become part of the Bloods? And they would just say, like, like this is brotherhood, this is
Yes.
protection, you know what? And this is family. And here it is. I think some people, and you see these young men, and here it is. You see some of them are smiling.
Mhm.
You know what? I mean, what they may say about, what them being, gangbangers.
Yes.
These are just, young boys who really in search of some guidance and really seeking some, I think, a fraternity.
Yes.
So some may have a sports team. Some may be part of of an artistic, maybe a fraternity.
Mhm.
But then, what? Some who may not come from ideal circumstances. Um, this is, with the family that they have. So with that, again, and them seeing me also too, I saw them, and that is really what's important. Is
Yes.
what? So often we just don't see each other until what? Maybe we may until we may hear.
Mhm.
What? Something like. But oftentimes, I think we can walk through this world with our blinders on. At least here in New York, head down, locked in,
Yes.
and we need each other.
I have a question, and well,
Sure.
as you're saying this, would you say that your camera, your ability to photograph people, gave you an extra edge on learning the education of the streets?
Oh, without a doubt, without a doubt. My camera definitely did, but I can also say that growing up here in Brooklyn, I mean, that's just part of, I think, growing up
Mhm.
is, at least when you're in the five boroughs, you have to be street savvy. That's a
Mhm.
whole nother education. But also too, I would say more so, my camera really uh, has been a conversation starter and really in giving me a whole new education in like sociology
Mm.
and really learning how people move, as
Mhm.
well as to it. To some people, it they may say I'm a visual anthropologist, you
Mm.
know, but I would say photography has allowed me to get a much closer view on the way people move, on how people act. You know what? On humanity. Because Lord knows, I mean, God knows, I mean, some photographers and like filmmakers and are some of the greatest visionaries we have and are able to go into any part of the world, any community, and just either connect, with strangers.
Yes.
And a big part of that is it's really a compliment to who some of us are. You know what?
Hmm.
Now, there have been some photographers, particularly those, of whiteness, who have
Yes.
used their privilege to really bully their way into some of our communities and then take some images without, I would say, our blessing and consent. And you can see in some of those photographs that look that some people, like I can think of one particular person, one guy, I think it's Walker Evans. It's a photograph he has of a black couple. I think they're sitting on the top of a mountain or a hill,
Mm.
and he's photographing a couple, and the black man looks at him, and he looks at him like that. Yo, what the f are you doing? like, get away from me! Like, what are you doing, you creep?
Yes.
But what's interesting is how that picture is revered, right? So this heroism that I think a lot of white photographers get for coming into our community and photographing it. And when you look at some books that have been done that have portrayed our community in just, in showing some of the ills of our community. And at the same time, these ills exist in the white communities.
That's right.
And but media and publishing has really given these white photographers a trophy for being brave to, and to get access to, quote unquote, maybe expose a subculture, that they feel is in our community.
Yes.
And then they are, are revered. They, get seen as this star.
Yeah,
And yet,
it's also I'm not, and not to stop you, but it's a global phenomena.
big,
I
absolutely.
remember being in South Africa, and I've shared the story before. Is that I'm walking in a township with my two big cameras, and and they're hanging from my sides, and I'm walking through the township, and people are walking out like and screaming and yelling and cheering, and like I was Michael Jackson. And it was because they had not seen many black photographers that
Exactly.
had the equipment or the scale of their work, I should say, or how they looked. They always saw white photographers coming through the townships or through the villages. And so
Mhm.
when I would end up in these places, it would be like, oh wow. I mean, it was a big thing. And
Absolutely.
but I'm going to change course here. I have a photo that I'm curious about,
Sure.
and it's this photo. You and the great Gordon Parks.
Yes, sir.
What
Okay.
was that about? How long? What was the interaction? I mean,
Okay.
this is someone that is, for most of us as black photographers, is the standard. And
Oh,
I would say even beyond black photographers, I would say just photographers. He is the standard. How was it? How were you able to connect with him? And what is going on here?
okay. So great question. So this is in 2004. I was invited to Mr. Parks's house. I had just won an award of his, um, and it was I just also too got accepted to Kamunge in
Mm,
2004, and in winning the award, um, one of my photographs also too was acquired in his museum in Fort Scott, Kansas,
Yes.
and it was Tony Parks, God bless him in heaven, and it was Andrew Cowens who made this possible. Andrew Cowens, you know what? A lot of people know him now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Kamunge president, another legend, first black photographer in the film union, as well as too, he was Gordon Parks' assistant in the
Mm-hmm.
early days when he came from Ohio to New York. And after I won the award, um, I had, I think, mentioned, I think, to Adger and to Tony about, how I would love to, meet him. And they made it happen.
Wow.
So invited me to his house, and on this particular day, I brought my portfolio, my gallery size portfolio. So I'll say that this was 16 by 20 and 20 by 24 prints, and never forget uh, looking at my work. I had also brought this book that we are both in, both of them
Wow.
by Dr. Deb Willis. It's called
Yes.
Black, um, a celebration of culture. Um, that had came out maybe I think a few months earlier. So some of his pictures were in it, some of mine were in it.
Wow.
I brought my book, I brought my portfolio, and we had a conversation just about work. And he looked at my work and he asked me who was I shooting for,
Mm-hmm.
and I told him I didn't shoot for anybody.
Mm.
And at the time, I was working at the Associated Press. And he said, well, don't you work at the Associated Press? And I was like, yep, I do. And he said, wait a minute, you don't shoot for them? I was like, nope. And then
Wait. Pause. Pause.
exactly, exactly,
Pause. I gotta put a
exactly.
pause. I need a pen.
Indeed.
You were working for the Associated Press,
Yes.
but you weren't photographing for the Associated Press.
No. I was recruited by them to be a photographer by this
Yes.
program called Diverse Visions that was run
Mm.
by his brother named Fred Sweets and the vice president of photography, Vin Alabiso, which you mentioned in my bio earlier.
Yes.
That was in 2001. And at that time, in 2001, I remember 2000, I did the workshop.
Okay.
And I did the workshop. And at that time, I was working for Magnum Photos.
Yes.
And when I did the workshop, I believe it was in East St. Louis.
Mm-hmm.
And Associated Press at that time, I believe in the year 2000,
Mm-hmm.
they only had a total of five, five black photographers in the whole country,
And the whole and for those that don't know,
United States of
y-
America.
but not only that, it's global. And the Associated Press, I've been following them for a while, and
Hey, you don't have to
I
put the filter on, Ron. You don't have to edit,
yeah, I
but I
look at
understand if you do.
I
You
look
do.
at the photo of the photographers,
Right.
and I know several photographers that are black. I know you may know Ian Reed.
You said Eli Reed?
Ian Reed.
Ian Reed?
Ian Reed is a photographer who goes to the Congo, has been to Ukraine, and been to all these places. And we have some really amazing black photographers
Mhm.
that go on the front line, and they go to the Congo and places like that. They're
Okay.
dangerous on their own dime to get the story. And then you have periodicals like, unfortunately, the Associated Press or the New York Times, and the big, I call them the big wigs. They do not take the photos or use the photos of Black photographers. It is so hard for Black photographers to get their work in the big name periodicals.
Absolutely.
So going back to Gordon Park, I know I didn't want to diverse, but I just wanted to just throw that in there. Is that you have been a part of this community for more than 25 years.
Yes, sir.
You have seen a whole lot. You have seen a whole lot, and I would. So we're gonna go back to seeing a whole lot, but I just want to take you back to Gordon Parks because I want to close that thought out because you have something that most of us do not have, and that is a moment with Gordon Parks.
Yes,
And
sir.
how did that day end? Like you guys are
Man.
now sitting there. You have your work, his work. You're in the same. You're in the same period, same book publication. You're just so. I'm sure you're comparing notes. He's probably sharing thoughts.
Let me
What
say this to you, Rod.
what is happening?
Let me tell you. So I'm not a person who gets starstruck, but
Yes.
I was, as you can see, looking at my face, like
Y-
I'm cheesing over here, like I'm in awe. I feel like I'm standing next to Black Jesus,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And here it is. Uh, it was also too what meant a lot for me on this particular time. And as I was telling you, when he asked me the question, like,
Yes.
who did I shoot for? And I told him I didn't shoot. So then the funny part was he had his pipe in his mouth and then he just stopped. He stopped looking through my portfolio. He pulled his pipe out. He gave me this side eye. And then he just looked at me. He was like, they're still doing that stuff? And I was like, yes, sir. And he said, well, we're going to have to fix that.
Mm.
And I said, okay. And then, you know what? He was just a bit dumbfounded as to why I wasn't photographing for them.
Yes.
And then I said to him, you know what? It was politics.
Yes.
And he wrote and offered a letter of recommendation for me for a position as a photographer.
Wow.
And later on, you know what? That night he just said, stay in touch. He signed my book, Black: A Celebration of Color,
Yes.
of Culture by Dr. Deb. You can still get that on Amazon, I believe.
Yes.
And he wrote in there, fine work, Gordon Parks. And then I remember um, I asked his assistant, so his assistant was there. And, you know, what, she was complimentary as well. She was like, you know what, he really likes your work. And, and I didn't break down and cry, but this was a big moment for me because it was early in my
Mm-hmm.
career. And I remember just excusing myself to go, to the restroom. And I was just blown away also too by his apartment. Like there was a Salvador Dali painting in the bathroom. I could not believe my eyes. All right. And in his apartment, and with piano, it's just, I mean, something that looks straight out of a magazine. And it was really a lesson in how to really, I think, walk as a photographer and as a man. Because here it is, this man is an icon.
Icon.
He is an
Icon.
icon. He is a pillar. He is our Jackie Robinson of photography.
Yes.
And here it is. He was just as approachable, as kind, just warm and open. And at the same time, he was supportive. Because
Yes.
when I followed up with him about that letter recommendation, he wrote a letter recommendation for me. you know what, to get a job at the AP, still didn't happen. And I was like, you know something, this place ain't for me. And I
Wow.
realized that why I was taking pictures, they're in the business of photography,
Yes.
and I am doing photography for Black history. I'm
Yes.
doing it, it's personal, it's
Mm.
culture. You know what? It is storytelling. It
Yes.
is also to our identity.
Yes.
And with that, I just knew that this was going to be a journey. It would probably be a lonely crusade at times, but it just fueled me even more to do the work that I've done in Bed-Stuy and all around the world. So I've been blessed that,
Can I pause you?
of
And
course,
you're humble about this. Your work has been shown all over the globe. So, did that come after that Associated Press? Like,
oh,
okay, we're not going to show you. I mean, they didn't obviously
listen, it
listen
was
to
the
the
best thing.
quality words of Golden
Listen,
Parks,
listen, absolutely.
but
And
did
that,
it release something in you that
oh,
that was like, I'm going to just like you just said, you wanted to share history, you want to be the documentarian of and tell our story, tell your story, tell your community story. Your work has been, and I'm going to go in. I'm just going to give. How should I do this? Maybe I should just do it from my phone because I can see it better. Because we did talk about Ethiopia, U.S. Embassy, but your work has also been in the United States, Europe, Africa, Asia, and Australia in galleries, museums, photovilles such as Photoville here in Brooklyn. You Visaport Le Mage in Perpignan, France,
Perpignan, France. Yeah.
Pavillon. And then you've been to Poland. Your work has been in Cortonia, Italy. Your work has been in Addis Ababa. Am I
Yep.
saying it right?
Addis Ababa.
Ethiopia.
Yep. Ethiopia. Yep.
Bamako, Mali,
Bamako, Mali. Yep.
and
2019.
so yeah,
So,
I think people are getting where I'm going with this. In Cambodia,
yep.
Sydney, Australia,
Yes, sir.
you've had work also
China.
for the Oscars, the Emmys, the Sundance, no, NAACP Image Awards, Pulitzer's Prize-winning directors,
Uh,
Stacey Muhammad, Lisa Cortez,
yep.
Thomas
Those are some
Allen
great.
Harris.
Those are some incredible Black people who I've worked with, who have hired me, who have, with blessings to Stacey Muhammad, filmmaker. With sister from New Orleans. She has been one of the directors of the series Harlem and The Best Man.
Yes.
So, she had reached out to me about just having some of my work on there. And here it was. I was fortunate enough that I was one of the few Black photographers worked to be on the set for, for a scene. Jamel Shabazz was also, work was featured as well, and several other Black photographers. So
But
here it is.
can I stop you
Of
still?
course, of
Can
course.
I go on? Because I want to give you your flowers.
Oh
Can I
man.
do that? You
Thanks a lot,
also
Rod. Brothers that used to getting flowers, I'm going to receive it. I'm going to receive it. Yes, sir.
you you also have been featured in the New York Times. Your work has been in the New York Times, the Washington Post, NBC Nightly News, Inspire America with Lester Holtz, PBS, WNET Group, Blind Magazine, NPR, Bloomberg News, NBC News, Slate, The Daily Beast, and The Undefeated, ESPN, Sports Center, and Anscape, AARP, Numero, Humed, Berlin, Vice, Medium, the Photo District
District
News,
News,
the
right.
World Photography Organization magazine, Black Shutter, Ebony, The Root, the BK Reader, Der Spiegel, New York Magazine, the Wall Street Journal, the Photography Collection, Preservation Project,
Exactly.
a picture gallery of the Soul Book of Howard Oskany, Armistead,
Oransky. I think it's Oransky. Yeah.
Arinsky,
Yep.
Herman Milligan and Black, A Celebration of Culture by Dr. Deborah Willis, Timeless by the
Kamunge, Kamunge,
Kamange
Kamunge Collective.
photographers. And I could go on. I mean, your work and your life, I don't know anyone like you. And I mean, and I and, and when
Ron,
I no, and this is not to blow steam or to, you know, people. You go to his website, you will see all of his photos. I mean, they're just mind-boggling work. I could go on for hours with you talking about your work, because you have contributed so much to our community, to not just Black community, to photography.
Yes, sir.
So my question to you is, where do you see us? I mean, like I said, there's so much we could talk about. We could be here for hours talking about the accomplishments that you've made in this industry and the impact you've made on many photographers. Where do you want to go from here?
Good question. Well, I have a lot of unfinished business. The first one will probably be getting my work on Bed-Stuy into a book. It is not an easy task.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? The business side of photography is very complex.
Mm-hmm.
Photo book deals are not easy, and to self-publish is even harder. It's
Mm-hmm.
very hard. You need a team really to do self-publishing. I'm a one-man, band.
Yes.
What's next for me is also to several things.
Yes.
I would say, with filmmaking, education. So something I'm proud of is me and a creative partner, a friend of mine, brother by the name of Zaka, Anderson Zaka. We've been working on this documentary series on Black and brown photographers for the past 3 years, called The Dark Room and Cease. And we have quite a few. We filmed about 6 episodes of some Black photographers, and that will be coming, with, I think, to people very soon. We have been offered, with a deal, and be coming to people soon. It's been a slow process.
Okay.
That's something exciting. Also, too, for me, education with what I've learned, and I think in my education, being self-taught
Yes.
and nurtured by several great photographers from Kamunge, outside of Kamunge, like I gotta give a salute to Joseph Rodriguez,
Yes.
another living legend over here from Brooklyn. He's made 10 books. Clarence Williams, um, Pulitzer Prize winning photographer out in California. These brothers have taken me under their wing, and as well as, again, can't say enough about the HBCU of Kamunge when I entered, and paying it forward. Like, one of my greatest accomplishments, besides me, Mr. Parks, is when I was in Ethiopia and I taught a series of workshops there, as well as one in South Sudan, but taught some workshops that really educated some of the photographers from Ethiopia to
Yes.
The business side of things, as well as to how to tell a story and to get some of their work even exhibited, published, um, and to really just expand um, this uh, expand this philosophy that
Yes.
I have, taken on with positive images and humanity, and as well as letting them know that photographing your community, your people is super important. Don't
Mm-hmm.
think just because your community may not be posh or affluent that it's not of relevance. And
Yes.
it is, because
Yes.
many people have come in and portrayed our community in the worst, most disrespectful way.
Yes.
And if we don't do it with some cultural nuance, the stigmas are going to continue and the oppression will continue as well. So, me going to Ethiopia, empowering and teaching and bringing some writers and filmmakers over there, reaching an audience, goal of mine is to take this even further, to go back to, to other places in the motherland, other countries in the motherland, the Caribbean, South America, but really, again, to teach the next generation, share
Mm.
what I have. Also,
Yes.
too, for me, what's next is something in that you had mentioned in some of my credits was about when I was on Lester Hope. Um, that was for me going public about blindness, about losing my
Yes.
eyesight. So here it was since 2015. I was diagnosed with a detached retina and an aggressive form of glaucoma. I've gone blind in one of my eyes since about 2017, and I have really been making photographs with one eye since then.
Wow.
So the work that you've seen of Dapper Dan, the work that you see of Black Lives Matter during George Floyd, all of that is done with one eye.
Mm.
With me photographing President Obama. Um,
Yes.
can't remember what year that was right off the top of my head, but I have this new journey in really showing the world, I guess, accepting this disability that I have. So it's this invisible disability because you would look at
Yes.
me and you would never think that. Um, but here it is. It is seeing the world from a different perspective now,
Yes.
as well as, too, um, for me, it is, there's still lots of glass ceilings that need to be broken.
Mm-hmm.
And another just mission I'm on and assignment I feel I have is to raise awareness about glaucoma,
Yes.
because this is a super dangerous disease.
Wow.
And I want to let everyone know that glaucoma is a threat for our people,
Yes.
black and brown, black and Hispanic especially, because it does not have any symptoms.
Mm.
You don't feel any pain. And I think a lot of us just think that if you can't see clearly, if you go to just your eyeglass shop in your community to get a new pair of glasses, you get tested for some glasses and you want to see clearly, that the health of your eyes is okay. And this is a big misnomer.
Mm.
It is only going to a ophthalmologist
Yes.
that they have the medical training and can do x-rays and scans on your eye and other visual field tests to really determine the overall health and if
Of your
there
eyes.
is a condition developing in your eyes that is not showing any noticeable symptoms.
Mm.
So I want to say this to everybody who's tuning into your show is this is not a game.
Yes.
Glaucoma, and I want to say this, don't confuse it with cataracts. Once the damage is done with glaucoma, it's irreversible. It is done.
Mm.
I'm blind in one eye. I have had to learn how to see again, and it has been a very difficult adjustment. And the way I have worked in shooting with black and white film,
Yes.
I it's been difficult to accept that how I can't photograph the way I used to with
Y-
film cameras,
yes.
especially because those were manual focus cameras. But with autofocus, I'm good to go. And how I still have lots of pictures left to take, but
Hmm.
I give thanks for this archive I created.
Yes.
I'm very thankful for all of those who have supported me to acquire some of my work, those museums who've seen the value, some private collectors who've seen the value, and it is very meaningful because I don't know how much more eyesight I may have left with the future because
Yes.
every year it seems like I'm losing more vision,
Yes.
but I'm doing the best that I can.
Hmm.
And with that, as long as my heart beats, I'm going to keep on going. So,
Man. Hmm. You, like I said, your life is a testimony. You have given so much, and and you continue to take your lemons and make lemonade. You continue to go forward and do new things. You have all these uh, projects that are on the table, and it's just so y- you make me appreciate life. When I read your story, and then I read I now remember how I found out about you
yes,
is that Photoville had did a posting about
right.
you and your eyesight, and I read it and said, "Who is this guy?" And then our mutual friend Jamel Shabazz connected us, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, this I'm finally gonna meet Russell. I'm gonna finally meet Russell." I mean, because when I read your story, I was totally moved by it, and no matter how rough our struggle is in this field, in this business, and there's obstacles, there's hurdles, there's
All the
mountains to
time.
climbs, there's shattering glass, and there's all kinds of stuff as we do this journey called photography. You have given me, and I'm sure others, the inspiration that even on our darkest day, we can look to see what you've accomplished, and it encourages us. And you make me say, I can do it.
Amen.
And so I just want to tell you thank you.
Thank you.
And like I said, I read your story last year, and to be able
That,
to
that
have
was
you
a few
on.
months ago.
Yeah,
That
was
was
it?
just a few.
It was
That was
Photoville a couple of
that,
months ago.
yes. That was
Also,
just a
was
few. That was just a few months ago, Ron, because I did a GoFundMe
the
because
GoFundMe was this year, right?
right. That was just
Oh,
in
so it
May.
was this year.
This was that was a few months ago. That was in
Oh,
May this year. That was in May this
wow.
year. You know what? Because you know what? Just I think the industry changing. Also, too, I think some people knowing about me going public with my condition. I think some
Yes,
people just believe I can't photograph anymore, which isn't true.
which
I
is not
just am
true.
moving differently. So I still photograph. You know what? I'm just shooting a lot more digitally. I still do medium format. I'm a Fuji photographer for the Fuji GFX 50R. And you know what? I've had to make my adjustments. And the thing is, life is full of obstacles for all of us.
Yes.
And with that, life is also too full of adjustments. And this is something where my health has changed. And this is something I didn't see coming. And it has hit me like a tornado. It has, you know what, knocked me down. And you know what? But I'm from Brooklyn. I'm the son of immigrants. I'm a man on a mission. It
Mm-hmm.
has slowed me down, but now I, you know what, am just moving with a lot more strategically
Yes.
and preserving my energy, as well as to, you know what, still determined. There's days where, I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. This has been depressing. It's
Yes.
been, you know what, very hard to, you know what, to wake up some morning, and I'll put it to y'all in perspective for everyone who's on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine if your glasses got taken away
Mm.
and you never got them back again.
Mm-hmm.
And then imagine for all the photographers, you're seeing life like through a 35 millimeter lens, and now it turns, or like a 28 millimeter lens, and now it turns into 50.
Mm.
And then the amount of you having your aperture at f22, and it goes from f22 to f8.
Mm.
And with that, every year is changing.
Yeah.
So for me, what I can feel very good about, Ron,
Yes.
is when I was healthy, when I was at my best, I served my community. I've mentored. I never wasted not one day. So
Mm.
a lesson in this to a lot of people out here right now is don't waste time. You may
Ugh.
think you have time.
Yes.
Tomorrow is very cliche about how tomorrow's not promised, but if you have the ability to take pictures today, that moment is only before you right now. Seize the
Ah.
moment. Don't postpone, delay. And I can feel good that the work I've done on Bed-Stuy, I have a good
Mm-hmm.
10, 12 years of work that hasn't been seen.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't, I put my all into it. And I have this vast archive that I'm trying to sort out, as well as to I'm thankful for all the time I spent in the dark room. You know what? The work that I printed up, as well as to just the future work I have to print up that I can't do it at the same efficiency or the same speed or that I used to, but I can still do it.
Mm.
And don't take not just your health, circumstances could change. Circumstances can change very suddenly.
Yes.
So go hard,
Go
put your
hard.
best foot forward. You know what? Don't put off that project thinking you want to start it off. So many people put off something good to try to start off, to try to do something perfect. There is
Yes.
no perfect.
Perfection is the enemy.
100%. So take action, get started,
Yes.
get busy.
Wow. Man, you have given this was Wisdom Wednesday, and you have given us gems,
All right.
diamonds, jewels.
All right.
You've given us everything today. Um, Like I said, I could talk to you all day long. So I'm gonna have to make my way to Bed-Stuy to hang out. We got to do lunch.
Fist bump, fist bump, fist bump, fist bump, fist bump, right there.
Yes, there we go. There we
Fist bump, fist
go.
bump. All right.
This was brilliant. This was
Thank you.
beautiful.
Thank you, bro.
I have to let you go because we went into overtime, but that's okay because this was
All
worth
good. Hey, as
every
long as we got
moment.
people here, hey, whether we got people here, or we just rapping ourselves, man. Hey, brother,
They're here. They're
thank
here.
you, thank you, thank you very much, Ron, for the platform, for man, for taking interest in my story, in my voice, in my journey. You know what? So again, it's been a walk through the valley, but you know what? We all have our moments in the valley. You know what? And then we all are walking towards the mountaintop. So
Yes.
you know what? Again, I appreciate you, brother,
I
being
appreciate
with
you,
me.
sir.
And here it is. Everybody, be inspired. Go out here and make your magic
Make
before
your
someone
magic.
before someone else tells the story that you want to tell.
Mm,
All right.
mm. Well, brother, I'm gonna have to let you go.
All right.
Guys, if you now you know how we roll in this community. If you appreciate Russell, could you give him some love in these comments? Could you give him some hearts, some love, some applause, something? Could you let this brother know that how much you appreciate him taking the time to spend time with our community and tell his story and just inspire us that I mean, you could do I could if I was my father in the old days as a preacher. There's a lot of sermons that you gave us today.
All right.
You gave us a whole lot of sermons. I mean, brother, thank you so much. Jamel Shabazz is in the building, and he sends the crowns and the peace. And I want to say,
Yes.
Jamel, thank you so much for your guidance and for always looking out for the community and looking out for the community of creatives and Black photographers and leading us as we continue to build a community that is stronger,
Right.
better, and can change the world. That's our goal as photographers. And we get to document this time that we're living in. And people 100 years, 200 years from now will look at our images and say, this is what they did. This is how they were. This is the decisions they made.
Right.
And they will be inspired. So thank you, Jamel, for that. Look at all the love. Look at all the love coming in.
Oh man.
Look at all the love Charlene sends her hearts. I always go through all of them. So I'm going to go through because when people take the time to give you the love, hearts and roses and hands and Mimi says, we appreciate you, Russell.
Thank you.
And
Thank
then
you.
we have Rashawn. We have in here Charlene, message deep. Omar says, beautiful story, Russell. Thank you for sharing with us. And then we got Hannah with all her hearts and loves and 100% and all the stuff she's putting in there. And Aya says, Russell, thank you for sharing your authentic story. Kimmy says, thank you. The girls club says, this was excellent. Thank you, Russell and Ron. Kelly A says, bless you, Russell. And he says, Dr. Taji says, can we have his socials again? Absolutely. Let me give that to you again. Hold on. Let me show it. There it is. Instagram.com Frederick photo. Right. So make sure you get that. You go to Instagram. You can click on that. see all of his work, all the projects he always puts in, where his exhibitions are, who he's joined up with. It's just like, I wanted to be there for the 24th. I think it was the 24th that just passed, but I was away, and I was like, oh my gosh, I want to be
Father's
there.
Day, right, Father's Day.
Yes, I
I
wanted
mean,
to
not Father's
be
Day. I
there.
mean, it was the
It was
family portrait
yes,
day with Richard Beaver's gallery.
the
Yes.
portrait day. Such a great event. And also his website is www.russellfrederick.com. So with those two, you will be inspired, you will be encouraged. His going through his page is like having a meal. It's a photographic meal. And so get in there, be inspired. If you're young and you're new in the photography world and photography career, this is someone you should be following, looking at their work, and you will get inspired. Russell, I don't want to say goodbye.
Hey man,
It's
brother,
it's until
to be continued,
to be continued, because you got to come back.
to be continued. Absolutely, and thank you again, Ron, and everybody. Thank you for joining in for the conversation. Really, really appreciate it, and thank you, Ron, for posting my website up there. And again, a big salute to Jamel Shabazz, who is a giant in our
Yes.
industry and is a giant in our community, and is just, what, an example of really how I think every Black photographer should be. You have a
Yes.
lot of, accomplished and elder photographers out here
Yes.
who, you know what, who don't really embrace the mentorship or aren't as generous. But
Yes.
Jamel is the standard.
That's right.
Jamel
That's right.
is, you know what, that um, he's our living icon.
Yes, he
And
is.
can't nobody talk ish about Jamel. Them fighting words. I'm telling you,
And we all love
fighting
him.
words. And it's not even gonna be a fair fight. This is gonna be like the Wu-Tang going up against anyone.
He keeps us on our toes. I
Absolutely.
love him. I
Love him.
love
Much love.
Jamel.
Much love.
I'm so glad that we have connected, and the influence he's had on my life. And so
All of our
again,
lives.
I'm
Yes.
gonna let you go, and I'm gonna talk quickly with my community.
Yes.
But I want to
Thank you,
again
Ron.
say
Ron.
thank you.
Big
You
up, brother. Big
keep
up, big
doing,
up,
keep
big up, big up,
living,
big up, big up.
keep
Man.
doing your work,
Yo,
and we
bro,
will.
I'm giving you black man hugs. You know what, man? Appreciate you, brother. Appreciate you, brother, man. Appreciate
Thank
you,
you,
brother.
bro.
It's
Thank you
fantastic.
so much.
Fantastic. Blessings to you. Blessings to you and everybody. Y'all have a beautiful day. Go make pictures. Walk good. Move with honor. And go hard, everybody. Go hard.
Amen.
All right.
Guys, this is why I do this. This is why I do this. It's because there's so many stories to share. There are so many stories that can impact our lives for the better. And if you are a photographer out there, I don't care how long you've been photographing, and you want to come on this platform, please let me know. Slide into my DMs and let me know, because this is what it's all about. This is what it's all about. Is connecting photographers with other photographers, inspiration, encouragement. We all need each other. And if you enjoyed this, make sure you like, subscribe, and share. Share this video with someone. I think it will inspire someone. Share this with some of your friends. Share it with another photographer. Share. How about this? I'm going to give an assignment that all my other like YouTubers they'll say. Share this with 5 other people. Everyone that's in here, share this with 5 other people. I know one thing. I'm going to get my eyes checked this week. He inspired me to get my eyes checked. And as we get older, we're on these computers and we're using these devices. Our eyes get a little wacky. I usually get mine done every 2 years. I'm a little overdue. I am going to get my test done like soon. And I hope that inspires all of us that we have to take care of ourselves. We have to take care of ourselves. Do the things that make you happy and that help you inspire the world. We are not just here for ourselves. We are here for the world. Okay, guys, again, like, subscribe, and share. So make sure you can send some love to Russell, send him some emails, some notes, and just be there for him and encourage him. And whatever we're gonna do, whatever we can do for him as a community, we're gonna make that happen. I see here. Thank you guys for sharing. I see Dr. Tachi says, listen, I'm not gonna play with my eyes. I'm going as soon as possible. And Omar says, definitely. I see here the applause and stuff. Oh my goodness, love the love. And Dr. Tachi says, love this. Okay, guys, thank you so much for all that you bring to this community. And have a great great Wednesday, Wisdom Wednesday. Get out there. It's hump day, but it's not the end of the world. We still got a lot to do this week, and we still got a lot to do in life. So let's do it. Let's do it. And thank you for joining me. And I will see you tomorrow. Tomorrow's our political day, politics and photography. I'll see you tomorrow.